let's talk about what persuasion actually means. So persuasion is when you try to get somebody to agree with your ideas or to do something that you want them to do by giving them the good reasons to do it. So, for example, let's say you really want to get a pet puppy. You might try to persuade your parents to let you get one by saying that a puppy would be a good friend for you, or that taking care of a puppy would help you learn responsibility. So you see, by making those arguments, I've pointed out why getting a puppy would be a good idea, because it's going to keep you company and help you learn to be responsible and look after it. Or, for example, if you just read a fantastic book and you want your friend to read it too, you could try to persuade them by telling them about the exciting parts of the story, or how much you think they might like the main character. So does that definition make sense to everybody? Excuse me. Fantastic. Good. So yeah, so we're going to start learning and practicing today, thinking of the good reasons to do something or to get someone to agree with an idea that you have. So we've got a few things to practice, and we'll get started. So we are going to have a group activity. So I've come up with a few different scenarios where you will need to use your persuasive techniques to try and convince somebody of your idea or of something you would like to do. So we're going to put our thinking caps on now. And our first scenario that we want to talk about is you want your parents to let you stay up 1 hour later than your usual bedtime. So if your normal bedtime is, for example, 8 p.m., in this scenario, you want to stay up until 9 p.m. How would you persuade your parents to let you stay up until 9 p.m.? So remember the definition of persuasion. You want to convince somebody of an idea that you've had by pointing out the good reasons why. So I'll give you guys a minute to think about your examples, because we don't want to just start talking. We want to think about what we want to say, and we really want to think about it and make sure that it's the right thing to say. So think of good reasons why your parents should let you stay up for an extra hour in this first example. As soon as you think you have an idea, a good idea, I want you to raise your hand like that. Zoe has an idea. So Zoe, how would you convince your parents to let you stay up for an extra hour?
Like before I go to sleep, I read a book. But the book is so good that I want to read more. So I will like tell my mom I want to read book more
Good.
for
So you could tell.
for me to like learn things from that book more.
Very good. So you're really enjoying the book that you're reading and you want to learn more from that book. So you want to stay up for the extra hour to learn a bit more. That's a pretty good reason. That's a pretty good reason, Zoe. Well done. So yeah, guys, Zoe just had a good idea there. She just said that, well, yeah, you heard what she said, that she wants to stay up to read her book because she's enjoying it and she could learn a lot more by reading for that extra time. Well done. Does anybody else have an idea? Come on, there are lots of possible reasons to explain or to get your parents to let you stay up for an hour. Just got to put your thinking caps on and oh, Mary's got one.
I think I will. I think I will say that I'm doing my homework or taking care of my pet, or I'm drawing a picture so that I could stay up late.
Very good. So Mary said that she could use the time to do more homework or take care of her pets. So Mary would use that time to do more of her responsibilities. Well done. Maxi?
I want to study more about science, so I asked my parents to stay 1 hour more to study more about it.
So you want to do more study as well. Good, Maxi. So let's try and think of some reason. So let's say that you want to stay up to do something more fun. So you want to maybe watch a bit of TV or read a comic book. What is something that you could say to convince your parents to let you do that? So what is something good? What's a good reason to perhaps let you stay up and play a game or watch some TV or read some comic books or something where you don't learn anything specifically. You just want to have a bit of fun. So first of all, let's answer the question, what do we need to make sure that we have done before we get to have a bit of fun? What's something that we have to do before we get to do some fun stuff? Mary.
I think that if my parents, I think I'll say to if my parents said that I need to do something, I will do it, and then I said that I finish it. So can I play? So can I read book or play video games?
Very good. So Mary's just said that any responsibilities that she has. So that might be I've finished all of my chores around the house, or I finished all of my study and my homework, and I've been managing my time very well to get all of that done. So can I stay up for an extra hour to maybe do something fun? Very good, Mary. So that is an important thing to consider when we talk about persuasion. So pointing out, pointing out the good reasons, or the reasons why you might deserve for that to happen. So I finished my homework. I've been managing my time well. Can I have this hour to have a bit of fun? So very good, Mary. Very, very good. All right. So the possible answers that I had come up with, you guys actually mentioned 2 out of 3 of them. So the first one was, you could let your parents know that you've been managing your time well and finishing all your homework and your responsibilities. You might bring up that staying up later could allow you to read more or pursue a hobby. So you guys also said that one too. And something else that you could say in this situation would be, you could promise to still get up on time in the morning and not let the later bedtime affect your schoolwork. So these are just all positive reasons why letting you stay up a bit later could be a good idea. So you guys started to think about some good ideas there. So that was a good first example. Okay, so our second scenario, let's have a look at another one. So you think your class should have one day each week where everybody shares something cool that they've learned recently. How would you persuade your teachers and your classmates? So take a minute to think about some good reasons for that. You think your class should have one day each week where everybody shares something cool that they've learned recently. How would you persuade your teacher and your classmates? So I've got, so I had Mary, Maxi, and Zoe making answers in the last question. This time I would also like to hear from Tom, Carl, and Nguyen Than Tui. So I'd like to hear from everybody in the class, please. I want everybody to participate. So, whoop, Tom's upside down. So, you think your class should have one day each week where everybody shares something cool they've learned recently. How would you persuade your teacher and your classmates? Oh, I've got Tom upside down and Mary's on her side. Our cameras are going crazy today. So if anybody has an idea, yep, stick your hand up. Miss Mary, what's your idea? How would you persuade your teacher and your classmates?
I think I will persuade them by saying that it's fun, so they could do it and you should try it. So you might like it. So if you don't like it, it's okay.
Okay, so we could have a lot of fun doing something like that. That's a very good argument. So when you form these arguments, as well as pointing out the good reasons for it, we should also consider what everybody could stand to get out of it. So it's not necessarily a fun thing to admit, but human beings are a little bit selfish. We all are. So if you can find the reason, or if you can find something that everybody's going to get, so what do I get out of this by doing your idea? So if you can find that argument as well, then your chances of persuading people go from here to like way up here. So Mary had a good one there. You could argue that this would make learning more fun and interactive for everybody, because everybody's sharing something that they know. We're having a big conversation. We can have lots of fun. And it's just going to be a really interactive way to learn. So it's going to make everybody feel like they're a part of it. So that's going to be a very good idea to do it. So well done, Mary. Does anybody else have an idea? Maxi.
If they share their feelings in the week, so they can share their personal experience, and then others can learn more about them and then their personalities.
Very good. So because everybody gets to share something different, the entire class is going to learn about a lot of different topics, and they might learn about something that they didn't know they liked until they heard about it. And everyone just gets to learn about a lot of different things. So very good idea, Maxi. Now, does anybody else have any ideas? What's something that, so let's look at it now from, from the perspective that of the person that is telling the information. What could the person that is speaking to the class learn to do by teaching the class something that they're interested in or something that they learned about? Why do I have two of my students that are upside down now? I've got Tom and Mary hanging off the ceiling. Oh, Mary's back on the wall again.
I don't know.
So
I think because they're Spider-Man.
well, that's pretty cool. We've got a couple of superheroes in the class.
No, because
So the camera's gone a bit funny. It happens to me all the time. So what is something that the person speaking to the class could learn to do better if we were to have this sort of idea in our classroom? After a long time of doing it, I think we'd all get pretty good at communicating and talking to a big group of people, wouldn't we? After a long time, if we were to do it every week. So maybe we could convince our teacher and the rest of the students that it could help us to improve our presentation and our communication skills, because we get pretty good at speaking to our class, to a big group of people. Okay, so based on those reasons there and the examples that we came up with for the last example, are we starting to understand about what persuasion is and how we can use it?
Yes.
Great, fantastic. Okay, so we are going to we're going to leave those examples behind for now. And I want to play a video for you. So that we can start to understand some different persuasive techniques that we'll be able to use in our writing, because let's not forget that this is a persuasive writing class. So I'm going to share my screen and share this video with you all. And yeah, so you're going to see some of the techniques that can be used in persuasive writing. It's actually quite interesting, because when I watch this video, I see, like, I look at it and I think, yeah, but that's so simple, that couldn't possibly work. And then I realized that based on the advertisements and the newspaper articles and things that I read, I realized that they actually do work. And then you kind of sit there and you think, oh, wow. So have a look at some of this stuff, because it's actually really interesting. So I'm going to share my screen here. Oh, sorry. Before we begin watching this video, can I get everybody to take out a pen and some paper and just write some notes down? It doesn't matter if you don't, it doesn't matter if you don't get everything. I'll post a link to this video in the group Zalo chat, so you can all watch it again. But we're going to watch it now and just have a little bit of a conversation about it afterwards. So here we go. So just make sure you take down some notes about this video. So write down notes about the techniques that the person in the video talks about. And just anything that you find interesting about the video as well. Okay, so here we go. I've turned share audio on, so you should be able to hear this. Here we go.
First, to have another technique up your sleeve. Welcome, authors, to Next Level Writing. In this video, we will identify 10 persuasive techniques that enhance any piece of text. We will briefly explain each technique and see how they could be used in a piece of writing. Before we begin, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and also to check out the Next Level Writing website. The link is in the video description below. A huge shout out to my friend Mr. Jurek and his Year 4 class at St. Anthony's. Thanks for the video request and for supporting the channel. Good luck with your writing. Now it's technique time. Persuasive techniques emphasize different points within a text. Using a wide range of techniques will make your writing more engaging and more persuasive. As we look at each technique, examples of the technique will be provided that have been taken from a persuasive entitled Sharks Should Be Protected. Number 10, alliteration. Alliteration is the repeating of sound at the start of words. This technique is useful because the repetition of sound will increase the chance that the reader will remember the point. For our shark example, here is a sentence that has two uses of alliteration. Shark struggling and alleviate its agony are perfect examples of how alliteration can be integrated into your work. Number 9, connotations. Connotations refers to the contextual meaning behind a word and are generally positive or negative. For example, if you wanted a positive connotation for the word thin, you might use slim or slender. For a negative connotation, you might use skinny or anorexic. This extract from our shark example highlights the use of connotation with the word barbaric. Barbaric enforces a negative connotation surrounding the action of culling or killing sharks. Number 8, emotive words. Emotive words are words that provoke an emotional reaction from the reader. If you can conjure up an emotion in others, it is much more likely that they will listen and remember what you are saying. For our shark persuasive, this passage includes the emotive word agonizing. This word was selected because it evokes a feeling of pity and sadness at the thought of sharks being killed in a very painful way. Number 7, evidence. A great argument will often have evidence to back it up. Evidence can come in many forms: facts, figures, quotes. Using evidence shows that the arguments are not just one person's opinion, but can be supported by multiple sources. This piece of evidence is a fact from Florida Museum of Natural History. It could be used to defend against the argument that sharks are dangerous by highlighting that an easily accessible item, like fireworks, are actually more dangerous and are responsible for more critical injuries each year. Number 6, exaggeration. Authors often exaggerate or overstate something to help persuade readers of their point of view. Exaggeration can make your argument seem more important, but beware. If you use too much exaggeration, you may start losing credibility. In this example, exaggeration is incorporated through the use of the word millions. Millions is used to describe the number of reasons from experts. While there might not be millions of reasons, it will make the reader believe that there are a number of reasons, and therefore the argument has a high level of validity. Number 5, imagery. Descriptive writing can be a powerful persuasive technique. Describing something vividly can help direct the reader to understand a point or argument more effectively. When researching our example, we came to the conclusion that there might be some people who fear sharks. It is therefore our responsibility as an author to counteract that fear by describing the shark in a less threatening way. Number 4, metaphor.
Hi, Dan Sussman here again.
Metaphors are a useful persuasive technique because they encourage the audience to make a connection between ideas. In our example about protecting sharks, this metaphor was used. It highlights the connection between sharks and the ecosystem of the ocean. By referring to the ecosystem as a delicate web, the author is encouraging the reader to picture what would happen if one of the threads from the web was removed. Number 3, repetition. The repetition of words, phrases, or ideas can can be used to reinforce an argument and drive home a message to the reader. In our example, the word fewer is repeated 3 times. Fewer human deaths, fewer shark deaths, and fewer unnecessary interventions. By using this word 3 times, it is emphasized that nowadays technological advancements could result in fewer problems that currently exist with sharks today. Number 2, rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions are questions where the answer is so obvious that it does not need to be answered. This technique involves the reader and can lead them to a particular conclusion. And here is an example of a rhetorical question. It is a rhetorical question because we know the answer. No one really wants sharks to go extinct, so the answer to the question is an automatic no. Number 1, tone. The final persuasive technique is tone. Checking the tone throughout the text can help evaluate whether you have maintained focus or whether you have included parts that don't quite fit. These 5 examples may help you discover what tone you have created for your writing. And there you have it. Top 10 persuasive techniques to use in your persuasive writing. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and keep taking your writing to the next level.
Okay. So guys, what's something that we learned from that video? Yes, Miss Mary.
I think it's because if we say our ideas, if we say our ideas, we need to have reasons and why.
Say that again. Sorry, Mary, that was a little bit quiet.
I think that if we say some of our ideas, we need to have our reasons. Our reasons.
That's right. So we need, that's right. So we need to provide our reasons for why we want someone to agree with our idea. Now, who can tell me what is a good technique that was in that video that would help us back up our reasons? Tom, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yes.
What would you like to say, Tom?
So one of the good things that we need to use in that is metaphors.
Is what? Sorry, your microphone went a bit funny there.
Is metaphors.
Metaphors, yes. Because by using metaphors, we can paint pictures in our readers' heads so they can really imagine what we're trying to tell them. Very good, Tom. And I think I saw Zoe had her hand up at one point, but then she put it down. What were you going to say, Zoe?
I want to answer your question.
Okay.
Like I just write down a little bit. So I will say the 4 things that I remembered. The first one is tone, imagery, alliteration, connotation, and exaggeration.
Very good. So those are all very good techniques that we can use to help us prove our argument, or that can help us convince the person reading our writing to believe what we're saying. So very good, Zoe. Thank you. Miss Mary had her hand up next before she put it down. What would you like to say, Mary?
Say if I think if we want to persuade people to listen to our ideas, we need to use positive words. We should not use negative words, because some readers can get very impatient and very angry with those words. So if you want to persuade readers to listen to your ideas, you need to use positive words so they can listen to you and understand what you say.
Very good, Mary. So if we are trying to convince them of an idea that we have, we want to frame it as positively as possible, because nobody wants to listen to an idea or a suggestion that even the person making it says is bad. So very good, Mary. Very good. And Maxi, what would you like to say?
I remember the step that is alliteration, connotations, emotive words, evidence, exaggeration, imagery, metaphor, repetition, vertical, question, and then tone.
Very good. So what we have there is a list of fantastic techniques that we can all use when we are creating pieces of persuasive writing. And by using those techniques, we can really help our audience understand just what we're trying to say. So if we go, actually what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up a whiteboard on here. I always get mixed up with these buttons. Okay. So what we are going to do now is we're going to add all of these ideas to our whiteboard here. And as we add these ideas to the whiteboard, we just want to have a little bit of a conversation about them, and just to help us really remember what these ideas are. So if you have something you'd like to add to the whiteboard about something that you learned today, just raise your hand like that. Okay. Miss Mary.
I think the things I learned today is how to persuade people to listen to my ideas.
Good. So how to Persuade.
Why don't
My
you use
writing's
the
very messy.
Why don't you use the typing? Why don't
We
you
can
use
do
the
that.
typing?
If that would be easier for you guys, I would be happy to type all of this stuff in the chat. Okay, so there we go. I'm not sideways anymore. So let's go into the chat box then. And so the first thing we learned today was how to persuade people of our ideas. And what did we learn about that, Mary? That we have to point out the what?
Point out the reasons.
Very good. So point out the positive reasons. So we want people to see why our ideas are good. Very good, Miss Mary. Who else would like to add something to the chat box about what we learned today? Maxi, you listed off a whole bunch of the persuasive techniques from that video. Good.
Yeah.
So could you give me those techniques one at a time, please, so we can talk about them?
I'll send off my note in the chat box.
All right, let's do it, and then we can talk about them one by one.
Okay.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Those are some fantastic notes. So let's talk about these notes point by point, everybody. So with alliteration, as we can see Maxi's description here, the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. So adjacent just means next to each other, or closely connected means there might be one or two small words in between. So some examples of alliteration is I had a terrific time today. So that is an example of alliteration. Because you hear that sound so many times, so closely together, it's really going to...
Teacher,
Yes.
who is Carl?
Carl, he's been here since the beginning, hasn't he?
Yeah. And
So I just assumed that he was a member of this class. Okay, so back to our chat box, everybody. So yeah, so the alliteration is a great way to help people remember one of the points that we're making, because the words sound so similar. That sound is going to stick in our head. Our next one is connotation. So depending on the topic of what we're discussing, we want our connotation to match that. So if we take the example that we watched from the video about culling the sharks, it's not good. We don't want the sharks to be all culled or killed off. So we wouldn't use connotation like it's an amazing idea to cull the sharks, because that's using positive connotation for a negative. Yeah, so cull means to reduce the numbers. So if we think there's too many, we'll kill a certain amount off to bring the population down of the sharks. So yeah, so with the connotation, because the killing of sharks is not a happy subject, we wouldn't use words like amazing or incredible to describe it. We would use negative connotation. Pardon?
Or fascinating.
Well, yeah, fascinating would be, yeah, an interesting one, depending on where it's used. Fascinating could actually possibly be used in that article, but we would use words more like dreadful or awful or terrible to describe the culling of sharks. Whereas if we were talking about maybe, I don't know, let's say that world peace was announced, we wouldn't say words like terrible or awful for that, because it's an incredible thing to have world peace. So we'd use words like it's amazing, it's outstanding, words that really produce a positive feeling in the people reading our article. Emotive words. So words that really get us to feel something. So this can actually this can actually be a little bit similar to connotation based on how we describe something. So if we're using positive words, we're going to make the audience feel maybe happy or good about what we're talking about. Whereas if we use words like negative words, it might make people feel angry or sad or upset about the things we're talking about. So all of these are really fantastic tools to get the audience on our side. But we as well have to be careful with how we use them, because if we use them too much, what did the video say? If you overuse certain persuasive techniques, can anyone remember what the video said? What will we lose? What will we lose with the audience if we overuse these techniques? Mary, what will we lose? Whoop. Sorry about that.
I think I will lose. I think I will, if I have some ideas, I lose the audience. If we negative one, we will lose more listeners. So if the next time we have some ideas, no one would be listen to it.
Very good, Mary. So we will lose credibility with the audience. So they'll stop believing us. They won't believe our ideas. They won't come back and listen to us in the future. So very good, Mary. Very good indeed. Okay. So we'll talk about a couple more of these. and then we're going to wrap up and finish for the day. So, imagery is a very good persuasive technique, because if we can get our audience not just to read what we're writing, but if we can paint a very detailed picture in their heads so that they can not just hear, but they can see our ideas in their mind, then it's going to be a lot stronger to, we're going to have a lot stronger chance of convincing our readers of the points that we're trying to make. And the last one we will talk about is similar to alliteration for helping our audience to remember some points that we're making, is repetition. So if we repeat our ideas, obviously don't repeat them like 50 times. That was a good example of exaggeration there. But if you repeat your idea, say maybe 2, 3, 4 times maximum, then you're really going to, Mary's off the wall now, she's standing up again. But if you repeat your ideas, maybe 2 times or 3 times or 4 times, then you're really going to help your audience remember those ideas better, because you've said it more than once. So it's just entering their heads more. So they're far more likely to remember all of those things that you have spoken about. No, Mary's on the roof now. Mary's on the roof with Tom. So let's finalize. Let's finish off today's class. So for starters, you guys have done absolutely fantastically today with Tom. Who was that?
Oh, I think Tom opened that.
Oh, bless. Okay, I'm back in the room. So, let's recap the main points that we learned today. So, what is persuasion, guys? Persuasion is where we convince. So, persuasion is where we convince people, or where we try to convince people about our ideas, and where we try to do that by pointing out the good reasons and the good, so the good reasons to do it and the good things that people will get if they follow our ideas or follow our suggestions. Who else? And actually, a question for you guys. Why do you think persuasion is important? Why do we think persuasion could be important? Okay, who's first in line? Mary, let's hear your ideas first. Why do you think persuasion could be important?
I think the reasons I think persuading is important because if we want to do something and we need to ask them, if we persuade them, if we know how to persuade them, they are like let you do what you want.
Very good. So by being able to persuade people, we can bring our ideas to life. We can do the things that we want to do. And yes, very, very good, Mary. And Zoe, what were your ideas? Why is persuasion so important?
Like when we want to have something is very important to us, that we want to buy something, but like in my life, I want to buy something for me, but my mom don't let me buy, so I have to persuade her to buy for me. And when I was grow up, when I want to when I want something in my work, I want to go on I don't know how to say it, but
Give it a try.
like the money I earn for the work is too small, and I have to persuade my boss to increase the money I earned.
So you might need to persuade your boss at work to give you a raise, pay you more money.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. So we've started to get a pretty good idea here of what persuasion can help us achieve. But the important thing to remember is that a bit of persuasion is good where we present our ideas and we try and convince somebody where we try and convince somebody to believe in our ideas. That is good. But we need to remember that we cannot force them to do it, because that is not persuasion. That is just force. So if we present our ideas and someone doesn't go for them, that just means that maybe we didn't do a good enough job of persuading them, and we need to go back and rethink about our idea and try again once we've made our idea better. So to sum that up, persuasion is good. Forcing someone to do something is bad. So we need to keep that difference very, very clear. Now, our next lesson is going to be the basics of persuasive writing. So we're going to learn about the basics of persuasive writing and how it's different from other types of writing. I am going to post in your Zalo group. It's not homework, as in it's not work that you have to do for next class, but it's a little bit of research to prepare you for next class. So the next class will be a lot easier if you do this. So I'm going to post it in your Zalo group. And other than that, I believe I will see you guys on Wednesday. Thank you for a fantastic class. Well done, everybody.
Bye-bye,
Well done.
teacher.
Goodbye.
See you next week.
I think I have you guys on Wednesday.
Okay, see you on Wednesday.
See you on Wednesday. Bye-bye, everybody.
I think I'm going back Melbourne now, Michael.
He's broken.
Are you at the airport now, ready to fly home?
I'm going to the airport. Yeah.
Terrific. Well,
Okay.
I hope you and